So as we move forward, we see that the London system was played, and I'm going to actually breeze past the start of the game because at this moment, bishop b5 check, knight c6. Here I would say was our first critical moment, a capture on c6. The queen comes out to a4 after the other bishops were traded, and now queen to a3. This is the whole point of white's play. It's pinning the pawn on c5. The queen is not defended. Knight e4, knight f to d2. It's an important move because if you move the other knight to d2, in many variations, the knight on f3 can actually be attacked. It's some opening theory. We could dive so much longer into those details, but we're going to get into the meat of this game. e5 played, giving up a pawn on c5, but this has been played before, and Gukesh knew what to do. Queen g6, knight d2. The pawn is captured. The blue arrow, the only choice for white is to castle long, and that's where you want to go. The king is safer over here. Rook g1 is going to happen in many different positions, going after the black king. So another pawn was grabbed on f2, and after d takes e5, the dust hasn't completely settled. Material is equal, but we see double isolated pawns for white. A pawn in enemy territory on e4, a c6 pawn that is hanging, and some open lines in front of enemy kings. The b file for black, the g file for white. As with the f file, things are super messy. So as the game went on, rook to b8, saying your knight can't take on e4. That would be checkmate in one. Don't blunder that, everyone at home. We saw the knight come to c4 instead, protecting b2. After bishop e6, rook d2 is the only move, given that little exclamation point indicating you had to find it. Queen f3, rook e1, all of white's pieces are defended. The bishop trades for the knight, and after queen takes, here we talked at length about this queen f5 move, a very human decision, and it caused Ding Liren to slow down. He was within his preparation. Rook b to d8, half turn and go. That I think is the engine's first line, a very difficult find over the board. Gukesh wasn't playing that. Queen f5, we see pawns get traded. And now is where the dancing began. Queen back to e7, queen d6, come on, trade me, let me go into that rook endgame where white has control of the open file, says Ding Liren. The queen goes to g5, an important, precise move, because if the queen went to h4, it has limited scope. Now the queen can swing back around and pose some serious questions, some danger in front of the white king. As the game continued, queen d5, queen d6 back, and just when we thought we would see a draw with queen e7, three-time repetition, we shake hands, we go into the rest day 3-3. No, we saw Gukesh play ambitiously. Queen h4. Some people will commend the decision, saying that he is showcasing his bravery. Others, like Peter Lecko just said, it's a bit of a question mark. Objectively, it wasn't the best decision. It could have caused him to even lose this game if things got out of hand. But as the game went on, rook to d1, fully open file, fully under white's control. We saw that the pawn goes up to g6, creating luft for the king. Some variations there may be rook d8. The white queen will sacrifice itself for the two rooks. Then we get an imbalance that will be hard to properly assess. Queen e5 played, rook to e8, protecting and attacking the e5 queen, but protecting e4 pawn. The queen slides back to g3. And once again, Gukesh says, no, I'm not just going to simplify matters. Queen h5. And as the game continues here, white has the advantage. And this was another critical moment. Queen slides to b5. If not for queen b5, this rook is going to d7. Black is a bit frozen in place, and so there aren't many active tries that work outside of queen b5, and that was a great find by Gukesh. Rook to d4, just trying to improve the rook, maybe help the king while being active on the b4 square, but the queen slides into e2. The e4 pawn, not one you can gobble up just yet. After some trades, h2 would be loose at the very least. So as we saw, rook d2, queen f3, and here I would say is where Ding gave away his last real chance. Queen to g3 or queen to g5, but putting the queen on one of these squares, it offers a trade on friendly terms for white. These passed pawns, they're going to be harder to run free because the e and g pawns are there. Instead, in the game, what we saw was a queen trade allowed on f4, and then after f5, we see the impressive passer that is backed up by a rook. The game continued with h4 stopping black from sacrificing a pawn. I just want to point out quickly that if you just thought you had all the time in the world, in positions like this, we see e3, we see f4, and two passed pawns, two rooks behind them. This would have turned the tides in black's favor. So no, Ding was not going to allow that. He plays h4, e3, a shocking move to us, but one that kept the balance. And then as the game continued here, white plays h5, one more big decision made. G takes h5 by Gukesh. It's a brave choice because he shatters his own pawn structure. He's trying to rely on activity. But as we saw in the game, there wasn't much more to it. h4, running forward, rook d7, and then king g7. I'm going to go ahead, give that an exclamation point because I thought other variations saw black in trouble. After king to g7, the point is after rook to h5, you play king g6, giving up h4 for king f5, king e4, and king f3. So the extra material is not that meaningful here. It's the activity of the black king. It's about pawn quality, not quantity here in the endgame. So instead of all this, we saw that Ding, he wanted no more of it. Rook g2, and now that the repetition is here, it was made. The game ends as a draw, a 3-time repetition. Risky choices by Gukesh. So many details to explore, but I think that he can breathe a sigh of relief and get some rest and relaxation tomorrow as it is a rest day. The score is 3-3. The match is tied, and we are just about to enter the halfway point of this match between Ding Liren, the world champion, and his challenger, Gukesh Damaraju.